Working on a Simplex steam locomotive, part 11. The side tanks and bodywork require some attention, but first I need to remove all the fittings and nameplates and make some repairs to the area of the cab doors. I also show how I made a hollow stay for the steam blower. The first thing to go is the number on the side. All it needs is a quick tap with a sharp chisel. These plates are just stuck to the paint, so they're easy to remove. These handrails are a little bit more fiddly, each one has to be unbolted. These parts are very well made, individually made as well, not commercial items. The main handrails though are commercial items, same principle, undo the nut at the back and they should pull out of the holes. Two more to remove at the other side. Everything was going well until the very last part, and inexplicably when I was removing the nut it sheared off the fitting. But these are commercial handrail stanchions, so I can obtain another, or I suppose I could repair this one. There is something very badly wrong with this side of the cab. Have a close look. There's a soft solder joint on the cab side, but also the door, which is a dummy and soldered to the sides, has come loose. More about that later. In this clip I'm removing the hand wheel and gland nut from the water bypass valve on the left hand side tank. A quick inspection of the tap itself and it's in very good condition, so this should be okay. I need to permanently repair the damage to the left hand side tank because the whole assembly is very weak indeed. I've temporarily cut two wooden props to try and hold it in the right position. I need to unsolder the door, so I'm using two engineering clamps to hold the main piece together. If I don't do this and apply some heat, it's going to be a disaster. So here goes in the outer part of the workshop. I'm heating up the dummy door. You will notice that the smoke from the paint is going towards the right. That's because I'm doing this by a wide open door to the outside world. I've turned the gas pressure down to the blowtorch because I don't need that much heat, and don't forget the entire assembly is soft soldered together, maybe riveted too in places, but it's very important that I only apply enough heat to remove the door panel. During this job I'm not going to use any water to quench the parts to cool them. Any sudden contraction of the metal is to be avoided. I need to locally strengthen this part. You will notice it's still moving because it's still warm, so really turn down the blowtorch to apply just the right amount of heat to allow me to run in some electrical solder into the joint. I apply the heat from underneath, run in the solder, and then bring the blowtorch to the top to melt the solder into the joint. And then I allow it to cool in its own time. The assembly took quite a while to cool, but it's definitely the best way to do it. The last thing I want to do, as I mentioned earlier, is quench it and cause a sudden contraction in the parts. Back into the inner part of the workshop now, and the tanks are back on the bench. I'm using my Proxxon angle grinder to really roughen up the metal in this area of the tank assembly. I completed most of the roughening of the metal using the Proxxon angle grinder, but then I finished it off with some 100 grit emery cloth. In this clip you can see the dummy door panel at the other side. What I propose to do is fit a full length repair panel to the side that I'm working on, and once that is successful and held together, I'll remove the dummy door at the other side and do the same. I can't do them both at the same time because this structure is very weak. In this clip I'm taking a measurement to see what size I need the panel to be, and it works out at 4 inches by 4 1/4 inches. I thought it would be a good time to use my Proxxon angle grinder to roughen up the outer part of the cab side. And here I'm rubbing down what will be the inside surface of the repair plate to provide a key for the paint. I held the brass plate in the position that I want it to be in and made some deep indentations in the brass using my Proxxon motor tool. Once I drilled both the holes in the brass plate, I mounted it in position using two 6BA nuts and bolts. Here I'm using a piece of hardwood just to check that the two sides are in alignment, and as you can see from this image, the two wooden props are still in place. I'm going to use JB Weld for the repair. JB Weld is a 2-pack epoxy resin with a difference. The black part of the mixture contains some steel particles. This JB weld is of the type that takes 24 hours to harden. Normally I would mix it thoroughly on a wooden board, but I thought, well, I have a board, I may as well mix it on the part that I'm sticking together with it. After mixing this JB weld thoroughly, I applied an equal quantity to both sides of the panel. Then I bolted it in place as shown here. I scraped off any JB weld that was oozing out between the joint using a steel ruler. And before I leave the JB weld for 24 hours to cure, I'm just checking that everything is square. I'm going to remove the fake door at the other side of the superstructure. Pretty much exactly in the same way as I removed the other side, without using too much heat, just enough to melt the soft solder, so I can remove this dummy door on the side. I'm going to replace it with a larger panel. The original dummy door can now be discarded. This copper tubing goes from the back head to the front tube plate. So what's the back head? That's the back bit where the regulator is. And what's the front tube plate? Well, this is it. It's where all the tubes come out through the front. This hollow stay is for the steam blower, and it goes all the way through the boiler from this bush on the tube plate to an identical bush on the back head. Over now to the lathe, I need to make two special fittings which will be silver soldered to the piece of tubing. As usual, I am threading the part, and to do this I'm using my tailstock die holder substitute, which is a standard hand die holder, and to keep everything square I'm using the tailstock fitted with a chuck to make sure it doesn't run out of line. Alternatively, I could have fitted this die into the tailstock die holder and wasted quite a lot of time. This thread is unusually 3/8 by 40 threads per inch. I need to make a pair of fittings which are quite similar but not identical for both ends of the hollow stay. And now it's into the outer part of the workshop, first of all to apply some Easy Flow No. 2 flux, and then silver solder my part onto the end of this hollow stay. The silver solder that I'm using is called Silver Flow 55. Once the part had cooled sufficiently, I quenched it using some water. Then I went back into the main workshop to make the part for the other end of the hollow stay. Same principle as I've previously shown, except this one does not have a hexagon part in the middle. Instead, here I'm making a nut to go onto it after it's been fitted to the boiler. Here I'm removing the sharp edges with a file, and now I'm parting it off. When parting off small components, it's a good idea to stop them from falling into the chip tray. And to prevent this, I would normally use a drill shank as shown here. After silver soldering the second part that I made onto the hollow stay, now it's fun time. I recommend that you have to hand on the bench, written down on a piece of paper, at least the Samaritan's phone number. And why is that? Well, just continue watching the video. This bit is easy. A small amount of lubricating oil eases the passage of this first fitting through the bush on the back head. But this is where things go wrong. Now I need to continue screwing the hollow stay into the other bush on the smokebox tube plate end. I'm using my scriber in the hole, and I occasionally just touch the hollow stay, but this is not the way to do it. Time I think for a top tip, because trying to do it this way causes insanity very quickly. And here's a top tip. Turn the boiler into such a position so the bush is at the bottom. Then you stand a much better chance of catching the end of the pipe with the scriber to guide it through the hole, like this. And before any viewers write in to tell me, yes, I am aware of the split gasket on the wet header. I will do something about this shortly. What I'm currently doing is using a 3/8 by 40 threads per inch tap to clean the bush because the thread wasn't very good in there. I was having great difficulty getting the thread on the hollow stay to engage with the one in the bush. So after repeating the process of finding the hollow stay inside the boiler with the scriber, the thread now engages perfectly in the smokebox tube plate bush. All I need to do now is apply some Loctite 542 to the fitting on the back head and screw it in place. And because the threads on the back head and the smokebox tube plate are both 40 threads per inch, there's not a problem. This clip shows a washer fitted behind the nut, but the washer's a bit big. I'm going to dispense with that because I didn't fit a washer at this end, and with the Loctite 542 it will seal fine anyway. The next part of the job is to fit the blower valve to the turret and connect this to the hollow stay using a piece of 5/32 of an inch diameter pipe. I bent the pipe using this very small pipe bender, made in China of course by a company called Microcosm. Because of its small physical size, it really is very useful. Here you can see how neat the bend is. The pipe from the steam tap to the hollow stay is very close to the regulator, but not that close that you would burn your fingers on it. So now you know what a hollow stay is. This hollow stay, of course, feeds the blower in the smoke box that blows a jet of steam up the chimney to draw the fire. And the benefits of using a hollow stay versus an external pipe that runs down the outside of the boiler is that the steam going down the hollow stay will remain hot all the way to the blower nozzle in the smoke box, therefore avoiding condensation. This is a simple but very important part of a miniature steam locomotive. And that's it for this episode. Stay healthy, thanks for watching, and I hope you found it useful. Please take the time to visit my main Steam Models website and click on the section of the website that says Video Playlists. And by doing that, you can find other videos that you may like to watch. And by using the playlists, you can actually watch the videos back to back.